Hi, everyone. I'm Gina Minardi, and I'm a licensed therapist who got fed up with therapy. This is a one-woman show about my journey of finding the spaces between non-traditional approaches of healing. What I learned is that there's no one right way to heal, and you truly are your best resource. Therapists and healers are meant to support you on your path, but they don't have all of the answers. You do. This show is about the spaces between laughter, tears, thoughts, ego, soul, messy growth, and moments of joy. It's about personal liberation, inner knowing, and the tools that get you there. I will cover topics that make many of us uncomfortable and interviewing people who are willing to go there. I've spent thousands of hours listening to human beings navigate their life story, from rehabs in Malibu to homeless shelters in East LA, and now my private practice. It has been some of the most profound, painful, and beautiful moments in my life. Thank you so much for joining me. Hi, Meredith, and welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on today. To all of you who are listening, I am super excited to have Meredith Sloane with us. Because I had probably one of the most incredible breathwork sessions in my life with Meredith. And I told Meredith that it felt like I shed 1,000 past lives within her group. And you all have learned from some of my first episodes that, PMS, and I kind of struggle with my hormones and anxiety. And after I did that session, it was just this huge purgative thing. So it's an honor to have Meredith here today. She's a master at what she does, and she's a master energy healer and leads breath work and retreats, and she channels rainbow energy, which I would like to have her talk about, because for those of you who are skeptics, as I have had some friends who have been skeptics of, what does that mean? I'm just going to have Meredith talk about her journey of channeling rainbow energy and becoming an energy healer. So Meredith, that was a lot, but I'll let you go from there.
Sure. I think it's probably best to just start with how I got into this in the first place, because I've been doing this for about 15 years. And I actually was in the music business, and I also had a lingerie company with my sister Brooke. And one weekend we went to Magic, which is a big trade show in Las Vegas. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I could see that something was going on with her. Something wasn't quite right. She was in the bathroom, and, I asked her what had happened. And she said, I don't really know, but I just felt this really crazy sensation in my brain. So I went on WebMD, as you do. And she's like, it's all the symptoms of a stroke. But we were like, that's crazy, because she was 24 at the time. And we're like, what 24-year-old is having a stroke? So we just kind of chalked it up to dehydration and exhaustion and whatnot. She went back to bed. We woke up in the morning. We went back to the trade show, and throughout the entire morning, she was starting to lose more and more strength on the left-hand side of her body. And we realized pretty soon into it that something was going on. She wasn't okay. So we actually packed everything up, drove to the doctor. And by the time we got to the doctor, she was 75% paralyzed on the left side of her body. So it ended up that she did have a stroke. And the doctor said the cause of it was stress. And we were both totally blown away. How could this happen? This is crazy. But she was super type A. She was, always doing a million things at once and managing a lot of stuff and holding a lot of stuff. It starts in the energetic realm. And if you don't deal with it, it actually becomes physical. And in this case, was a stroke.
Wow.
So, yeah.
No. Wow. So, okay. So then from that point, I don't want to interrupt your flow. So that obviously, that ignited a big
well,
you.
they put her on steroids. They put her, she was doing physical therapy. There was like a lot of medication she was taking to try and get things under control and heal her. And nothing was working. And she was just getting more and more depressed and really like just low energy. And, at that point she was like, I'm willing to try anything to see if like something else will work. And that's usually what happens. You'll like hit rock bottom and then you're like, okay, I'm open to whatever crazy things are out there.
Yeah.
So she had met a Reiki healer and started working with her. And at this point we hadn't really heard much about energy work, but she dove in and started working with her. And within a year, she was 100% healed and no signs of stroke. She has 2 children now and, married 2 children and perfectly 100% healthy. So it was pretty miraculous, especially because she had spent about 6 months, maybe even longer, dealing with all the steroids and not seeing any change. And within a year was 100% healed through energy work.
Whoa. It's so interesting that you bring up the point, which I think happens to a lot of us. And I even relate to this, where you hit a rock bottom and then it opens you up into other modalities or other fields and such as energy work. Right. And so none of these steroids were working for her or any of the really sort of what it sounds like a medical approach. And going to energy healing was really the thing that healed her, for lack of being redundant with that word. But yes. So, and then did this kind of catapult you into?
Yeah, I mean, both of us were like, wow, this is amazing. I'd never experienced something so powerful and, out of really the mental range of like, it's not something tangible. It's not something, it's like energy. So a lot of people are skeptical about it, myself included, but I say myself included back then. And then I saw results and it was firsthand and it was, happening in front of my face. And that's all she was doing was working with this healer. So it was pretty incredible.
Wow.
And we both got really inspired. And we ended up training with this woman for about 2 years. And we had, closed down our business together, but I was still in the music business and I was just working on friends and family because I loved it. And it was so exciting and amazing. And people started having great results and telling other people. And then they started telling other people. And soon I realized that this was, not just something that was like fun for me and a passion, but something that was actually my gift and something that I was really good at doing and something that I love doing. So I quit everything about 12 years ago and I started doing it full time. And I've been, 100% healer since then, and out training in Reiki. And when I was in Peru about 7 years ago, I had done a medicine ceremony. And during ceremony, as I was working on someone, I had a vision of a huge quartz crystal that came down through my head and into my heart. And my hands started shaking. And I looked and I could see all the energy coming out of my hands, and it was full rainbow. So it was pretty incredible. And it's so funny because I've always been obsessed with rainbows since I was a kid. Always, always. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And then they come shooting out of your hand.
I was like, oh my God.
You're like, there's a reason that I have been obsessed for all of these years. Wow. And so can I ask, I don't want to interrupt your flow.
Yeah.
When you say that you channel rainbow energy, is it something like, can you feel the energy coming through you? Like for somebody who's kind of doesn't understand it, or do you visualize it as you're working with people? How does that kind of work?
Yeah. So as I started to see this energy come out of my hands, I started to connect to the spirit of rainbow, like tuning into it. I asked for permission to channel it because I could feel how powerful it was. And I was shown through the ceremony how each vibration of color feels. So red is the longest wavelength, it vibrates the slowest. And then as you move up the color spectrum, you get to violet, which is the fastest vibration. It's the shortest wavelength. So I was kind of shown like how it feels to pull it through the body, how to connect to it, what that vibration feels like, and how to pull it through and channel it through my hands. So I was given instruction, and it's similar to Reiki in the sense that you're channeling an energy, like I said, through the top of your head and out through your hands. But Reiki is just a different vibration. It's a different form of energy. I find Reiki to be really amazing, but it's very gentle. So a lot of times I'll bring in Reiki energy. I'll connect to that vibration to bring through. When I work with old people or people that are really injured or children, I do a lot of Reiki work with. And the rainbow energy, I call it rainbow. I mean, it's rainbow energy in the sense that, I did connect to this vibration of the full rainbow. But, our bodies are essentially made of rainbow energy. So each of the chakras, which are energy centers in the body, when they vibrate at a certain color frequency. Let me step back.
Yeah.
When they're healthy,
Yes.
they vibrate at a particular color frequency. So when you see the pictures of the chakras, it starts with red at the bottom and it goes up in a rainbow. And the reason why those colors are there is because that is actually the vibration of the chakra. It's matched to the color. So we are rainbows,
Okay.
right? We hold all that vibration. And ultimately, when all the colors, those the visible colors on the light scale come together, they are pure white light, which is, what I believe we are. That's our spirit, is this beautiful white light. So
I'm just going to give you a hell yes. I mean, just, yeah, I'm so glad that you naturally just went into talking about the chakras, because I think there's a lot of misunderstanding and, and again, I think there's a lot of skeptics about, oh, really? Like I have a chakra system and prove it, right? We very much live in this society of kind of proving it, and there has to be science to back it. But even Einstein actually talked about us having energy systems. And so I guess I'm not going to right now ask you to prove it but I think, maybe we can just talk about if somebody, well, I'll bring myself in, and the individual session you and I had where you said really kind of my first, second, and third, which I'm pretty aware those are areas that I need to work on, right? And I know that this could be a much larger conversation than what we're going to have today, but maybe it would be helpful to the listeners to kind of go through each chakra if you want to. And just kind of talk about things that could be helpful, or even being able to identify when something is off, when an energy is off, whether, for second.
What I'm going to say, first of all, is that there are a lot of people that are skeptical because we can't see them. But whether or not you believe in them as energy centers or not, they're still really amazing tools for understanding yourself. So each of the chakras are connected to, a variety of emotional and physical things. So they're actually an incredible roadmap to use, whether you actually believe in the energetics or not. I mean, I feel it, so I know it, and I feel when it's blocked. But I think for anyone, it's just a really great map of understanding yourself. And it's a system that is, I don't know, it's really a powerful way to dive deeper into patterns and tools to understand your strengths and weaknesses within the body. So we start, with the root chakra, which is the base of the spine, and it's the color red. It's the longest wavelength, the heaviest vibration, the slowest vibration. And this chakra is all about grounding. So it's all about connection to earth energy. It's kind of what you're born into. It's like your family, your tribe, belonging to a group. It's also the first chakra that's developed in utero. So there's a really strong connection to mother energy in this chakra. And it's all about survival. So in utero, we're provided with everything we need. we have food, we have, shelter, and it's automatic. And then we're born into the world. And depending on how fast our needs are met is our, relationship to trust, to trusting that we're going to be okay, trusting we're going to have enough finances, our home is going to be okay, all those things we need for survival. So that's kind of where we start as babies. And then we move up to the sacral chakra. And that's, we move from that earth energy into water energy. So it's about movement and flow. And this is the realm of the feminine. So it's emotions, it's creativity, it's about birthing things. So not just children, but birthing new projects, new ideas, new ways of being. And it's really about opening in this chakra and receiving. And we move from there into the solar plexus, which is masculine, and that is fire energy. So that is all about goals, plans, actions, life purpose, who you are, your power, making stuff happen. And the chakra below, sacral, is really about feelings, like I said, emotions. So it's like, I feel like doing this, or I don't feel like doing that. And solar plexus is like, it doesn't matter what you feel like, you're committing to an end result and you're making it happen. So it's that fire, it's action. And we move from there into the heart, which is the color green. And heart chakra is the element of air. So when we add air to fire, it's the expansion. So it's the expansion of who you are in the world. It's the expansion of your life purpose. It's connecting with others. It's unconditional love. Unconditional love for yourself, for other people. It's not one-on-one relationships, which is more sacral, but it's really about that, connecting and having compassion for the world and and reaching out to others. And we move from there into the throat chakra, which is the color blue. And this is all about your word. And this is about the expression of who you are in the world. So it's taking that energy from the sacral, which is that creative energy, and putting it out into the world. So it's your creativity. It's also speaking your truth. It's being your word. And really that vibration of the truth of who you are in the world and sharing it. We move up to the third eye, which is right between the brows. And the third eye is your intuition. It's about clarity. It's kind of letting go of old patterns that don't serve you. And it's really seeing, but seeing outside of the five senses. So it's like the overall picture. It's seeing the unseen. So once we move out of the heart chakra, we start to move in more into the realms of energetic stuff that's unseen that we can kind of tune into. And then we move to the crown chakra, which is the color violet. And this is all about your connection to spirit and spirituality. And, it's about letting go of attachment. And of course, our final attachment, on this earth plane is the body. So we let go of the body before we go into pure spirit world. So this is the fastest vibration. This is, that chakra of really connecting to that unseen world of energy and unity of spirit and like oneness. So it's kind of the chakras in a nutshell.
Incredible. No, I mean, incredible. I think for anyone listening who's never heard them broken down before, I think that was the most excellent breakdown of the chakras. That was beautiful. Thank you. So I'm going to use myself as an example. I'm not just trying to get free energy work here, so you brought up 1, 2, and 3 for me. Mm-hmm. So for someone who's maybe stuck in those areas, or what are some things maybe that you would recommend? I've been told, I don't know if you're familiar with Jill Willard. She's an intuitive, and I did a chakra workshop with her in New York a long time ago. But she would talk about wearing certain colors, eating the colors of certain food. I don't know if you feel the same, but are there things that you would say to people, yes, you need to do this to feel more secure and safe in your first chakra?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that you can do within all of the chakras. Like I said, just to give the example, like root chakra is really about safety and home and survival and all that. A simple thing you can do for root chakra is to really go through your home and start to clear out clutter, to clear out all the things that don't feel really good in your home, that don't feel loving. Because we're affected by energy all the time that we're not aware of. And, all sorts of objects have energy. If our space is cluttered, that holds a particular energy. So, going through and actually clearing out things that don't feel good to you helps to strengthen that root chakra, because then you feel good in your home. You feel safe. It's your nest. It's your place. So that's one thing. There's tons and tons of stuff you can do for all the chakras. And yes, there's color therapy. You can wear the colors of the chakras. I remember when Bjork and her husband broke up, I think for an entire year, she decided to wear neon yellow, that was like her color that energetically, made her feel good. But yeah, so colors, like you mentioned, foods, there are certain foods like root chakra, root vegetables, earthy vegetables. It's the element of earth. So carrots and parsnip and potatoes, things like that. And even when you eat those, like when you eat a potato, it makes you feel grounded. You can feel that like heaviness, that,
Yes.
that energetic feeling in the body.
Yes. I need to eat a lot of potatoes then. Because
French fries.
I'm just always flying above here and kind of like, okay, Gina, come back down to earth. And it's so interesting what you talk about. I love that about clearing out the objects. Obviously, Marie Kondo has made such a flurry in the world as far as really getting rid of objects and things that don't bring you joy, that really aren't serving you in your home. And interestingly enough, when I was in grad school to become a therapist, one of the first things they would say, even with a client who was majorly depressed, and we're not in school talking about chakras, right? But one of the first things you're supposed to do as a therapist is, hey, I want you to clean your room. Tell me about the state of your room. And a lot of times you'll talk to somebody and they'll say, well, I have 15 plates of food next to my bed. And, there might even be live critters, not to go so extreme, but yeah. But people clearing that up. And it's kind of amazing to me because I won't even be in an intensive realm of treatment with somebody, but just that, clearing out what is representative of the depressive, that deep sadness, right? And kind of what is not serving them and what is representative of everything that's cluttered and stuck and kind of weighted, I would say. So that was really interesting what you talked about.
Well, everything is energy, all objects, all emotions. I mean, everything. It's like you were talking about Einstein, and, it's been proven by Nobel physicists that everything is energy, everything is vibration. And when you break things down to the smallest points, it's atoms, molecules that are vibrating. And depending on that vibration, is what builds, different forms of life, right? Solid, liquid, gas. And we're constantly coming up in contact all the time with different forms of energy. And we are energy. So we're kind of, moving through other people's energies, through spaces that have energy. And a lot of times we're picking up that energy. As you can tend to hold a lot of people's energy without even knowing it. And with objects and things like that, it's like, same thing. We're being affected constantly. So if we're walking into a place that just is cluttered all the time, that's actually affecting our internal energy systems. And when we're not aware of this, it actually can manipulate our energy. It can start to influence our own energy. If you think about sound, for example, we can't see sound, but you can hear a song and there's a feeling that comes over your body, right? If it's a song you love, you're just like, yes, this feels amazing. Whereas if someone, scratches their fingers down a chalkboard, we also feel that in the body. It creates anxiety and tension. And, these are sounds we can hear. We know that even, dogs have a higher frequency of hearing. And, they've even created like dog whistles that we can't hear that they can. And there's all this other sound that's happening that we're not even consciously aware of, but it can be totally affecting our energy. And EMFs, things like that are happening all around us that we're not aware of. So the things that we actually are aware of, like objects in our space that we don't love, are easy ways to start cleaning up that energy and replacing those things with things that bring us joy, things that are high vibrational, that help to balance out, some of the stuff that we're not even aware of that's going on.
Oh, it is. I mean, just preach. I think it's part of the reasons I have to dip out of Los Angeles so often is because of the kind of constant barrage of sounds. And even when the city, I mean, the city has slowed down somewhat. I mean, we went through a major slowdown, during lockdown, but everything is really kind of back. But just all that extra noise really feels intense on my system, which is why I
Yeah.
have to get into nature and
Yeah.
up north and out of here a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And nature has a really high vibration. That's why we feel so good in it. Like I said, everything is energy, so everything has a vibration. So, things like, McDonald's, like low vibrational food, that's low vibrational. There's not a lot of nutrition in it, EMFs, traffic, noise, those all have a really low vibration. Also, emotions like sadness, fear, frustration, anger. And then there's high vibrational things like babies, nature, puppies, things that you can really feel, and also emotions like love, joy, and abundance. And a lot of times we collect those heavy energies in the body and we don't even realize we're doing it. Like we hold on to emotions if we're not, fully expressed.
Mhm.
We tend to hold those in the body and that starts to lower our vibration. And then we start to feel stuck in that heavy energy.
Mhm.
So like the work I do is around clearing blocks in the energy field, releasing that heavy energy, releasing energy a lot of times from patterns that we create from childhood. We're not even aware, but we're constantly shoving emotions down. We're not encouraged to speak our truth usually as children. So, we want to tell someone that we're angry or our feelings are hurt. And, we've been shut down so many times or had bad responses to it. So we just hold it in the body and it gets to a point we don't even know we're necessarily angry or upset. And that builds up. And then we just start to kind of collect that energy and we wake up one day and we're really depressed or we've got physical issues and we didn't even realize it was like the slow process of our energy just getting lower and lower and then we're stuck in a bunch of heaviness.
Mhm. Mm. I mean, again, truth. It is, and again, for me, because I'm versed in the clinical world, something, and even something I wrote in my or on my thesis is about secondary traumatization. So the idea that, so that's a more kind of extreme way of saying when you're listening to, as a therapist, when you're listening to extreme trauma or sadness or anxiety or anger, if you're not really good at neutralizing and sort of creating a protective field, that's why so many therapists get really burnt out or they themselves become incredibly anxious or sad because they're not protective of their energy. And even, I'll never forget talking to one of my professors and I just like I almost was screaming and I just went, I don't get it. Like I don't understand how can you be empathetic and but then stay neutral and then protect your energy
Right.
and not and I remember my professor saying it's a dance, right? and
Mhm.
and I think also, and I'd also like to steer this more towards you, in life we're always doing dances with people energetically in our
Mhm.
family systems, in our relationships. People are kind of more quarantined and holed up right now. So what's the question I want to ask you? I think it's just good for people to hear maybe how to protect their energy
Mhm.
or to really also, I think a lot of people, myself included, have not honored when certain relationships or certain energy is not good for you, right? And when you feel drained walking away from somebody or having a 2 hour long conversation or this person, and now I don't want to go too far into something, but how do I want to pose this? Yeah, I guess how to protect your energy, and how to really trust yourself when something is feeling kind of off.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I don't want to be too all over the place. Did that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
I mean, I
Okay.
think in terms of protecting your energy, I think the first step is awareness. The first step is being aware of what feels good and what doesn't feel good.
Mhm.
And, a lot of times we are in a draining conversation and we just keep sitting there and we're not even connected really to how bad it feels maybe afterwards, or we feel bad, or we have all these other things coming up. But I think, you know, the more you tune into energy, the more you pay attention to how you feel, as well as the energies of other people, then, you can start to protect yourself from that space. I mean, all of us have, been in situations like where you've walked into a room and you can just tell someone's angry or something's going on. They don't need to say anything. You can actually feel it, and the more you start to pay attention, the more subtle types of energies you can start to feel. And on the flip side, it's like there's certain people that when you're around, you feel energized and or safe, or you just feel good. And that's something to pay attention to, because that's what you actually want to move towards. And it's being able to really tune into your system. And a lot of this is also your intuition. And we're all born with really incredible intuition, and it's not cultivated. It's not, it's not really practiced. We're way more of a logical society. So it's like we have this thing that comes in and then our minds get in the way and talk us out of it. So it's like we have a feeling about someone and then we're like, oh, but I'm being mean, or that's not really, I'm making this up. This is not how it is. And then you find out later that like actually your first feeling about it was correct. And I think once you start to pay attention, then, you develop that skill. It's a skill.
Yes.
And, there are many, many other ways energetically to protect yourself. I'm actually putting together a course right now on how to protect your energy, because I feel like so many people have been asking me. So it's been in the works I've been working on it for a couple months now. So hopefully I'll have that soon. But I think an easy way to start is just to pay attention and just to notice how you feel with certain people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I noticed for myself, and I think even you and I talked about this, and I'll use sessions as an example, or even with friends, where if I, because I'm so sensitive
Mm-hmm.
that I'll just find myself really, it's almost like I'm merging into their energetic field, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm feeling so deeply into it that I'm not differentiated. I'm not, my own individual person. And I think a lot of people who struggle with codependency, people who
Mm-hmm.
struggle with caretakers, and empaths, really, that feel so deeply that you just kind of, versus going, no, I can feel, but I can be over here. I can honor and witness what you're going through, but I don't have to be up in it, right? And you telling me really kind of to notice and neutralize within my body, because I'll get so charged as somebody's going through complex trauma or
Yeah.
deep, deep, deep sadness, that then I'm kind of in the trenches with them versus, okay, need to tiptoe out of this. And I think people need to learn this all the time. I have couples who come to me who go, well, she's anxious all the time. And so that makes me anxious. And as a therapist, what I teach people is, no, actually, her anxiety doesn't need to make you anxious.
Yeah.
You can really learn. She's having her own experience, and you, as her husband or partner or whoever, can learn to have your own emotional experience and not blur and kind of bleed into that energy.
Yeah, and it took me a long time. Like when I first started, I definitely was picking up a lot of people's stuff, and I was, doing a variety of different protection methods. I was really open. Like when I first, had my kind of awakening and, being able to hold more and more energy, it was like I was more and more open too. And it was challenging. And, I just practiced, and I really got to a point where I felt like I really got that everybody has their own journey, and everyone is, going through things in their lives which are just part of their journey. And me attaching to it is not actually helping them in any way. And I can be there to hold the space of transformation for them. When I'm giving my energy to a particular emotion that they have, I'm actually not creating a space for them to step out of it. I'm merging with that. So by holding a higher vibration where I can see kind of above the trauma and see, okay, they're going through something right now, but I actually can see this vision for them of healing, of not being in that space. When I hold that vibration, it actually allows them to see a different way or to feel a different way. And I'm not in it with them. I am, helping them to step out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I really got that, it was a lot easier. And I could just hold space for people while they were crying and understand that this was part of their process to actually let go of stuff and transform their lives. Exactly. And this was a step forward.
Oh, yes, yes. I'm going to say hell yes again. I want to be mindful of time because there's still a few things that I want to ask you. And I know you have a call after this, but so a couple of things I really want to talk to you about because you're so skilled at what you do. And, a lot of people I want to talk majorly and have you talk majorly about these two things, which are masculine and feminine energy, and then also breath work and kind of how breath work really works and what happens. I have one friend who's really sassy in LA who's just like, oh, Gina, are you going to go do your hyperventilating circle where you just, you hyperventilate for an hour and then you fucking cry. And, of course you cry because you're hyperventilating, again. And I love it. Like, right. There are these people that kind of like push your edges as to why we do what we do. And again, they don't have to do these things. But again, so I want to circle back to the masculine and feminine. Mm-hmm. I feel so many of my clients and myself and either clinicians, healers, teachers, all give kind of different definitions of masculine and feminine energy. And I think it would be great if you could just talk about that, if you'd like to, for a little bit about what you really feel is masculine and feminine.
Yeah, I mean, we all have masculine and feminine energies within the body. And the way I interpret it, it's all our interpretation, is through the chakra system. Okay. So for me, the feminine is in that sacral chakra, like I was talking about. And the characteristics of that chakra are birthing, vulnerability, emotions, intimacy, one-on-one relationships, things that make sense to me in the realm of feminine. It's like that emotional kind of receiving energy. And then the masculine, which would be the third chakra, which is that warrior energy. And it's like, action, making stuff happen, plans, goals, commitment, like solar, that sun energy, solar, like power. Yeah. And I don't know, it just, for me, it really makes sense in terms of strengths and weaknesses within me. And I can feel when I'm in my masculine. So when I need to activate my masculine is like when I need to get stuff done. And, then I can also just retreat into my feminine and go with the flow and kind of let stuff happen. And for me, it's really about the balance between the two. So knowing like my strengths and weaknesses, I can really work with both of those concepts, both of those energies to make stuff happen in my life. And like, I really don't like working out. I have a huge issue with it. And I tend to be someone who's more in my sacral. I'm more in my feminine. I'm more go with the flow. I know how to access my masculine so I can make it happen, when I need to and want to. But one area, it's like, when it's time to work out, I never feel like it because that's super sacral. It's like feeling, and I never feel like it. So, in the past, it's like I wouldn't do it because I didn't feel like it. Yet I really wanted to have results. I really wanted to take care of my body. I really wanted to feel strong. I wanted to look good. I wanted to feel healthy. So I really got like, this is not going to happen in my normal state of being, in my normal flow, because my normal flow is more leaning towards, the sacral. So I was like, okay, I need to make a plan. I need to take action. I need to commit to it. And it doesn't matter how I feel because it will never get done otherwise I have to activate that solar plexus, that masculine energy. So I hired a trainer, and, it's like 4 days a week. I'm on with that trainer, and literally every morning I wake up and I'm like, I don't feel like it. It has not changed. And I'm like, it doesn't. And then I tell myself, it doesn't matter how you feel. You've committed to it. You've made a plan, and you're going to follow through to get the result you want. And, since July, I've lost 30 pounds and I'm in amazing shape right now. And like that. And that was really by kind of learning how to use the masculine and feminine. Like when do I allow that masculine energy to come in and like override my normal, comfortable state, which is flow. And just knowing that in order to get results, to get stuff done in areas that don't feel good to me, but that I'm still committed to, I have to be in my masculine.
Okay.
Does this explain?
Oh, no. It's beautiful, because I think what gets so many people tripped up, I work with a lot of strong female clients who will bring up, and I've even brought this up, where it's like, well, it feels gender specific, or, that it's too, I even remember, you and I can laugh about this. I remember one time Rebecca saying to me, she said, Gina, why don't you just try like wearing dresses sometimes? And then I went, what? That you expect that if I wear dresses, that's going to bring, and she goes, well, that really works for me, bringing out. And I talked about the idea of, well, that feels like a gender construct, right? That somehow if I put a dress on, it's going to make me, I'm going to feel more feminine. But really what I'm hearing from you, and I'm not saying that, Rebecca and I talked a lot about this, and it's more about tapping in to the energies, and these energies just feel differently from what you're saying, right? Your masculine energy is this kind of like, okay, I got to get this shit done. I'm going to call the trainer. I'm going to do the damn thing. And, whereas your other feminine is more in flow. It's more in receiving, and versus like, okay, and like, I don't feel like doing this, and needing to override that, right? Yeah. So no, I think that was a beautiful description of masculine and feminine.
Yeah, I think for me, it's just, it's just a description of an energy. Like I was saying, it's like the chakras are really a map to show you where your strengths and weaknesses are. And, that's, in the system, it's like, that's what the feminine is, and that's what the masculine is. And it's not really like gender specific per se, but it's more just describing kind of a type of energy and a way of being.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
So beautiful. Okay. So with the breath work, if you want to give, because then I'm going to have some rapid fire questions for you at the end. We won't go there yet, but with the breath work, can you describe, because there's so many different types, and I've prescribed different breath works to my clients, whether it's holotropic, Wim Hof, there's a multitude of different styles. And from what I've learned is, some kind of feel like they really clear and purge. Whereas, Wim Hof's, when I've done his, it feels very kind of regulating to my nervous system. And I'm sure, they all can be regulating to their own degree. But so what you do and what I've experienced with you, can you kind of just describe the style of breath work that you use with everybody in your groups? Mm-hmm. And then also what happens that people do have these kind of big emotional releases or euphoric moments?
The breathwork part is actually secondary for the work I do. I have people do it because I feel like it tricks the brain. I mean, I think any kind of breath work is great in general because you're moving energy in the body. But for me, it's like the breath work that I do is it's 2 breaths in and 1 breath out. It's all through the mouth. And it's this weird pattern of breathing. And it's something that the brain's not used to. And it actually tricks the brain. And you're kind of like focusing and your body's doing weird things. So for me as a channeler, I'm actually able to get in deeper because your brain is not blocking me from getting into your energy field. So, I started using it as a tool to really just be able to get deeper into people's energetics because their mind wasn't as attached to it. So that's really for me, the angle that I'm coming from. I think in general, all kinds of breath work is amazing because ultimately, it's shifting it's shifting vibration in the body. It's, helping you to let go of heavy energy. And, the breath is one of the few like bodily functions that we can actually really regulate to shift different moods, to shift different things happening in the body. It's like if we're really anxious and we take a few deep breaths, it actually calms the body. So it's a really powerful tool that we have control over to kind of change stuff in the body. So I think just adding breath to anything, really, really shifts vibration of body. It shifts, energy in general. But I think the combination of doing the breath with my work, like I said, it's like, allowing me to get deeper and really moving stuff. Because I have a lot of people that do breath work, a similar kind to mine, and they say that their experiences with me are so much deeper and more powerful and just different. And I think that's because, I'm channeling such strong energy, and I'm channeling, specifically for each of the chakras, I'm channeling that vibration of color to help clear and move stuff in the body while you're breathing.
Well, I will definitely attest to anybody listening to this. I have done some breathwork circles before, and yours are truly, they're from another dimension. Or, it really, I remember I came downstairs and my boyfriend looked at me and he was just like, what? He could just tell. I mean, I had sobbed so much, I had released so much, and I went into it with, especially the first time, with such addled, tight, irritable, my kind of PMSy, that energy, and it just so much popped open. And really, again, so you are truly gifted at what you do. So thank you.
Thank you. I would love to just talk about one more thing, which I think is really important for your listeners, is just to like stress again, how important it is to take care of your energy. We're told to take care of our physical bodies in terms of exercising and eating right and all these things, but we're not really taught about energy. And it really is mind, body, and spirit. And that kind of spirit side, I feel like, is not addressed a lot, growing up or in our culture. And if you think about it, if you think about our body as like a river, if we have a clear river and a piece of trash comes floating through, it can kind of float through and go on its way. But if your river has a lot of trash in it, there's a piece coming through, it might get stuck, it might not make it through. And then if your river is completely filled with trash, then it's like nothing's getting through. And what happens is it starts to build up and build up. And it starts to become blocks in your energy field. And our energy is our health. It's our vitality. And the faster the energy moves in the body, the faster you're able to heal, the better you feel, the higher your vibration. So if you look at kids, when they fall and hurt themselves, they heal incredibly quickly. Whereas if an old person falls, that healing process is so much slower. And that's because the energy in the body is not moving as fast. So anytime you have these buildups of blocks of energy in the body, it's not allowing for that flow. And everything starts in that energy field. And if we keep holding stuff and it keeps, building up and getting tighter and, more compacted, it ends up turning into something physical. And you really don't want to wait. Like with my sister, it's like, you don't want to wait till you have a stroke. You don't want to wait till you have cancer. You want to start clearing out your river before it gets to the point where it's so clogged that it's already manifested as something physical. So I think it's just really important for people to understand that and to know that they actually have power over, taking care of their energy. There are so many things that they can do just by having the awareness that they even have energy and that they're affected by things, and, and just starting to pay attention to different energetic things in their life, and when they're holding emotions and when they're not speaking their truth and things like this, which tend to sit in the body if we don't release things properly.
Again, preach. Yes. Yeah, no, really. I mean, I am not going to majorly go into this at the end of our talk together, but I definitely believe, my mom passed of cancer. I told you this when I was 17, and yeah, I feel there was a lot in her river that, and again, it's not a kind of damnation or judgment of my mom, but just knowing her, things that needed to be cleared, right? So I'm pretty diligent in my own life about trying to keep my river clear and my energy fields. Because I think it's interesting. Even when you were talking, it made me think about how skeptics out there, like people will easily say, oh, my energy is so drained, or my energy is feeling really off today, or, my energy is feeling really stagnant. But as soon as you start talking about chakras or other things that feel a little bit too esoteric, or even something like intuition, it's like, oh, red alarm, like too weird, but we are energetic beings. I mean, again, it's physics, it's science. It doesn't have to be this woo-woo thing. It's very real. So, again, I want to be mindful of your time. So if there's anything else, because I want to get your information at the end, for everybody. And these are just some are light questions and some are deeper, but you can answer them as quickly as you want. Okay. It's kind of just like what intuitively, or just what comes from your gut.
Yep.
The first one, Beyonce or Rihanna? You're like, what?
Like, who are they now? Like, Beyonce was my first Beyonce.
Okay, Beyonce. Like, okay, if you put on Beyonce, she lights up your energy fields.
Yeah.
Not that we're pitting one against the other. I
think I was surprised. I thought it was like a really deep question.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, Beyonce or Rihanna. Okay. Why do you think we're here on this earth?
I mean, I think it's an amazing school, and I think it's like lessons for our soul, and just a journey of it's just a journey of learning for me. It's like, and my commitment in this lifetime is to be a vibration of love, and that's what I'm constantly working towards. And I feel like I keep being given all these opportunities and challenges to really step into that and vibrate higher. So I feel like my purpose on earth is just to shed layers of heaviness and be able to be love.
Beautiful. Yes, you are, Meredith.
Thank you.
So this is the one that sometimes I don't think this is going to trip you up. But so in the country of Bhutan, they have the practice of thinking of their death 5 times a day. And they happen to be statistically, or whatever research, to be one of the happier countries in the world, because they actually reflect on their mortality. Whereas as Westerners, and a lot of times as Americans, we are really deeply afraid of talking about death. And I'm curious, with each guest that comes on my show, and it's not asking for something to be this finite answer, but when you think about what happens after, what do you think happens when we leave the body?
I mean, I think it's like a merging of spirit and energy, and it seems to me like a way higher vibration. This is like the physical, earth plane. And I think when we let go of that body, it's like this freedom and a higher vibration. And I envision it like that vibration of unconditional love and unity and oneness and connection. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yes, those were my rapid fires. Thank you so much, Meredith, for coming on Space.
Wonderful to talk to you.
So wonderful talking to you. And now I'm going to sort of wrap this up. I want everybody to have your information, any upcoming courses, and where to find you. If you prefer email, Instagram, I'm going to let you rip.
Oh, okay. Well, my website is realhealings.com. And there's a lot of information on there. I'm actually looking up my Instagram right now.
It's how I feel about Instagram in general.
I always give the wrong, it's rainbow _healing. And I do sometimes post on there. I have an upcoming course, beginner's course on the chakras in January. It's 2/3 sold out. I only have, I think, 4 spaces left. And yeah, I'm really moving towards group stuff now. I was doing individual sessions for a while, but I feel a push to really help as many people as possible right now and help raise the vibration on the planet. And yeah, and I think we all need a lot of connection right now during these crazy times. So yeah, so that's really what's upcoming, is just that course.
Great. And then I know also I've sent a lot of people to your Sundays and Wednesdays, but you're going to be stopping that at some point, but you're doing them now.
I am. I don't know when you're airing this, but I think I'm only doing it for 2 more weeks.
Okay.
And I think I'm taking the month of December off. And then while I'm running courses, because I have beginner and advanced and a master course till March, I definitely won't be doing it during them and during then. And then I'll see at that point what feels good, but I'm doing it for another 2 weeks or so.
Okay. Well, hopefully if somebody really wants to work with you or take one of your courses, they can just hit you with an email, contact you directly, and then you guys can see how you work together and whatnot.
Yeah, and that's all on my website. And also on my website, there's a place that says book session. And if you click on that, you can book, I think it's a 10-minute or 15-minute informational call with me. So I can, help you identify, what areas are blocked and if I can support you and kind of what the next steps would be. So you can sign up there.
Okay. And then lastly, are you going to be doing any retreats or?
I hope so.
Okay, we hope so.
Yes.
Yes, we hope so. It is tough with the virus right now.
So I have a retreat to Peru and a retreat to Egypt. Those are only open to people that have completed my beginner and advanced courses. But I also do yearly a retreat to Maui and a retreat to Mount Shasta. And those are open to anyone. Those are shorter. Those are like 4 or 5 day retreats. I am planning to do one in March in Hawaii, and depending on testing and all of that kind of stuff, we'll see if that happens. I'm just going to play it by ear, but usually every year I'll have Maui and Shasta and then either Peru or Egypt.
All right. Meredith, you rule. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for all you've done for me and for everybody that you've been of service to and being on the show. So yeah, thanks for listening, everybody, and I'll see you for the next episode of Spaces Between. Hi, friends. If you've been enjoying Spaces Between, please take a moment to subscribe, and leaving a review is the cherry on top. Thank you so much, and I look forward to connecting with you next week.